New bag? Who dis? Oh no, this is an old bag, but new to you guys.
Hey there, ladies and gents, welcome back to the vlog. My name is Drew, and I hope you're having a fantastic day today. It's a fantastic day at Mechanics Code Works, and I hope it's fantastic wherever you are today. Today we are going to be doing another episode of Drew's Startup Vlog, as if that wasn't already evident. And I have another viewer request from our good friend Michael T. Michael, who asked what skills, or if I'm paraphrasing here obviously, what skills or what things helped you to build critical thinking and help you to make business decisions. And I thought about this question a lot throughout the week after he asked it, and I don't have one magical book or one magical thing that can teach you all of that, but I do have a rather obscure answer for that question. The one thing, and you're not going to believe this, but believe it, the one thing that has really helped me a lot in making critical business decisions and, making critical thinking a lot easier has been anxiety. And congrats, if you have anxiety, you probably make a very good CEO or C-suite, whatever executive. The fact of the matter is, anxiety is a very contingent way of thinking. Generally, when you have anxiety, and those of you who do have anxiety, you know what I'm talking about. When you have anxiety, you're thinking a lot about contingency. And what a contingency is basically a what-if statement. So, what if that person doesn't like me? Or did I stand too close to that person? Do they think that I'm weird? Yada, yada, yada. All these what-if questions start to build kind of a framework for critical thinking. You start to kind of work with these questions and start to rationalize and really try and make sense of what is, or in a healthy way of treating anxiety, you try to make sense of what is healthy and what is rational and what is irrational and cognitive distortion, basically. And I've talked a lot about cognitive distortions and anxiety in some of my mental health videos, which if you haven't seen them, check them out right here, link to the playlist. But basically, if you have lived your life with anxiety, and a lot of us have, new studies show that 1 in every 2 people have clinical anxiety, I guess you can say, or chronic anxiety, then yeah, that's one of the best ways to build a critical thinking framework, if that makes sense. And again, I want to reiterate that you have to take care of it in the proper way. The only way that you can make anxiety work for you and have it help you critically think is if you approach it healthily. Is healthily a word? In a healthy manner, I guess. That's the word that I'm looking for. And what that means is, if you haven't already gotten help for your anxiety, definitely get help. Reach out to a counselor or reach out to somebody that you trust. Talk to them about how you're feeling and that you may have a condition of anxiety. Talk to your doctor. They can refer you to specialists. There's so many resources that are available to you in helping you get your anxiety in check and get your anxiety to start working for you instead of working against you. And like I said, when it starts working for you, you get to be a lot more calm, if that makes sense. You start to critically think and rationalize, and your brain is familiar with it because you've been anxious for so many years, and it has kind of a calming effect. So if you're in the middle of a P1 is a priority 1 incident, so your servers are down, nothing's working, something that I had to deal with last weekend, actually. So if you're in the middle of a P1 or a business crisis or something like that, you kind of just stand there and you're like, man, I've felt way more anxious than I am now. This clearly isn't the worst that I've ever been at. Or maybe I am feeling a little bit anxious. Maybe this is the worst that I'm feeling. I really need to get myself out of here. So anxiety gives you kind of that spectrum, and it teaches you, what is rational fear and what is irrational fear, and what can be thought out of and what can be not thought out of. And it really helps you to hyper focus on the problems that are there, what needs to be resolved, and it allows you to kind of organize and get everything in check, all while remaining calm, because you realize that this isn't the most anxious that you've ever been, or this isn't the worst that you've ever been at, because you've probably been at a lot worse if you suffer from chronic anxiety or clinical anxiety. So that would be my take. If you are anxious or you have problems with anxiety, then congrats. If you do it in the right way and you harness it in the right way, that makes you a very good critical thinker, or a very executive thinker, I guess you can say. So as to the question of, is there one thing that's really helped me make critical business decisions, it's been anxiety, and I'm thankful for that. Anxiety sucks in the moment, but once you make good on it, or you make something worthwhile out of it, then it can be a lot better. So that would be my answer to that question. Now let's check out some other stuff. Alrighty, and I'm going the wrong way. Alrighty, we are back at the Casa, and I wanted to wrap up today's video just with a couple words of reassurance or affirmation, I guess you can say. I'm not saying that you have to be an anxious person in order to be a successful business person or a successful executive. But if you do have anxiety, then it doesn't have to be the end of the world. It doesn't have to be this thing that you just carry with you until you die. It can actually be something that helps you out a lot. And one thing that always helps me when I'm worried about something or I'm anxious about something, whether it be business related or not business related, and that'd actually be a really good video idea. I'll probably talk about a full list or a more comprehensive list of strategies with anxiety, but just for this video, one of my favorite strategies is the what I call be your own therapist strategy. And what that looks like is, and I'm not the one who invented this has been around forever, I just gave it a clever name, and it's probably already been called that at some point. But being your own therapist means that if you feel anxious about something, or you feel like the walls are closing in and you're just worried and you don't know if you should be worried or that sort of thing, you're just uncertain, one thing you can do, sorry, I just had a donut, so I get a little bit gassy. One thing that you can do is flip the script, or pretend like you have a friend or somebody that's very close to you that is coming to you with the exact same problem that you think that you have. So if you're worried about doing well on a test, or if you're worried about if people like you, or if you're worried about something like that, what would you tell that other person? If it were the case of doing horrible on a test, you might say, well, did you study? Yeah. Well, chances are you'll probably do fairly well, because when you study, you generally do well most of the time. And even if you didn't study, you just give it your best go, and that's all we really can do in life, is just give it our best shot. Usually with anxiety, you get really trapped in your own head, and you start to think and rationalize things that don't need to be thought of or rationalized, or you start to think with a very broken set of rationality rules. And I think that all comes from the inner voice that we have, and that we are very self-critical of ourselves. It's the mark of somebody who wants to be excellent or be good at something or do something with their life, that they are constantly critical of themselves, probably more so than to other people. But when you're in that space, or when you're in that headspace and you don't know if you're thinking rationally or you think you're being overly critical, it really helps to kind of, like I said, flip the script and pretend somebody else is coming to you with that exact same problem, and thinking about what you would say to that person. And when you find out what you would say to the other person, apply it to your own situation. Think about it, well, my situation isn't very different from if somebody else was coming to me with this problem, so I'm willing to take the answer that I would give them as my own answer. So that's just one strategy that I use a lot, and I've been using a lot lately to help cope with my anxiety. But like I said, there are so many different strategies, and you're only a Google search away from finding some that you can maybe try out. And I can't reiterate enough, definitely try and find some help. There's plenty of great resources out there. You have the National Suicide Prevention Hotline if you're feeling really, really in the weeds. There's groups like the Trevor Project, which have resources for LGBTQ plus teens and individuals. There are veteran helplines, so you can call Veterans Help if you're feeling post-traumatic stress or anxiety about war or being in the military. So there's plenty of great resources out there, and there are great therapists that do what are called sliding scale rates. So they only have you pay what you can pay, or sometimes they even do pro bono, which is for free. So definitely look into anxiety. And if you feel like you're an anxious person, or you're one out of those every two that has anxiety, then get some help and start to use anxiety as a tool to help you, because there's a lot to be gained from it, not just in business, but in your personal life. And like I said, I know plenty of CEOs that I can name off the top of my head, plenty of very, very successful people that are as anxious or even more anxious than I am. So it doesn't have to be a burden. It doesn't have to be something that you carry alone. It can be a superpower, in fact. You just have to learn how to harness it. So again, this is kind of a 50-50 between Drew's startup blog and a mental health video, but yeah, anxiety is the one thing that's helped me to develop critical thinking skills, and when I learned to use anxiety for my benefit, it meant the world of difference. It meant a world of difference. And it meant all the difference. I just smashed them together. I'm digressing. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to leave a like if you like the video. Leave a comment down below if you want to continue the conversation. And if you want to continue watching our videos, be sure to subscribe. That way you get a notification every time we put out a video. And we'll wrap up in the traditional way, and that is by me saying, always remember, friends, that you are wanted, you are loved, and you are appreciated. You have a special talent that nobody else has, and the world is waiting on you to bring it out. So muster a little courage, go out into the world, and change it. That's what the world's waiting on. You.